Sterile Processing Professionals, Brandon the Sterile Guy here, and today's video is myth busting number 2. And in honor of number 2, I'm going to talk about all the shit that aggravates me in sterile processing. Now, I don't only make these myth busting videos for entertainment and to educate you. I make them so you can take this education back to your departments, your facilities, and make changes that can remove frustration and aggravation and honestly inefficiency from your processes. Without further ado, let's get into it. Myth number 1, dots have to be fully black on sterilization container locks. Another truly frustrating myth.
I find the whole thing a little frustrating because I can't figure it out.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
The dots do not have to be black, comma, unless the manufacturer specifically states that. Let me share a couple IFUs with you from popular brands of locks. Here's the Aesculap IFU that seems to be most common, and it states the dot will turn from blue to brown. B-R-O-W-N. Yep, that doesn't spell black. And here's the IFU from Key Surgical, which states changes from blue to dark. Now, dark is not a color, but I believe common sense tells us, and we both know, that brown and black are both the shades of dark when it comes to the light spectrum. And if you can't see the difference in colors because you're colorblind, well, honestly, you shouldn't be working in sterile processing, as that's very dangerous. So here's the deal. Even if a sterilization dot on the lock turns black, there's no guarantee that will stay black over time. You have temperature and humidity, you have just general time and wear and tear, you have light affecting these indicator dots. There's so many things that can cause the dots to change colors over time. The fact is, unless the manufacturer absolutely specifically states it, it does not have to be black. Myth number 2, the writing and or the indicator dot on filters have to face up. Oh my goodness. There is a huge debate going on right now as I'm recording this video on one of the Facebook pages about whether these filters should be up or down. So everyone stop for a second and let me help you out. This one is so easy. I keep reading comments that people are saying the IFU is not clear. To that I would ask, what the freaking heck IFU are you reading? Because it is super clear. Here's what it says. The orientation of the paper filter with indicator can be placed in either orientation, indicator dot facing in or out of the retention plate. In or out, it doesn't matter. But if you truly care about the orientation, then read the next line. Facility should determine orientation based on its established policy and procedures. If you care so much about the orientation, then write it into your policies. But let me tell you something. Once you write something so minuscule into your policies, you leave yourself wide open for problems when Joint Commission comes and they find one filter that's not turned the right way. But if that's what you want to do, whatever, that's your department. I'm glad I don't work there. I hope that's clear enough for you. Myth number 3, OR techs can put trays together because they know the instruments. The answer is no. Well, it's a little more complicated than that, but until certain conditions are met, the answer is no. If you just let scrub techs come down and assemble your trays, what does that say about your job? That anyone can do it? And if you're truly comfortable with that happening, then maybe you're not performing the job at the level you're supposed to be. Assembly and inspection of instruments is absolutely critical to the job of a sterile processing technician. We are the gatekeepers for instrument quality, functionality, cleanliness, and sterilization. Period. End of story. If you're not performing functionality testing, sharpness testing, if you're not checking for pitting, rusting, discoloration, I gotta ask, what is it that you're doing? Even machines have been created that can assemble trays for us. But what those machines cannot do is inspect the instruments for things like pitting, rusting, discoloration, functionality, all the integral critical functions of our job. So unless a scrub tech has been thoroughly trained, not just on what an instrument is and or what its nickname is called, but also to be able to test the functionality, sharpness, inspection for pitting, rusting, all that good stuff. If they are not trained in that, they should not be assembling your trays. And please do not use the excuse, well, it'll be their name on the tray, so if it's wrong, because that never protects patients. That is a cop-out. Myth number 4, nightly sterilization testing should be done after midnight and in an empty chamber. This one is gonna blow some minds. How many of you night shifters has seen another tech throw in a biological into an empty sterilization chamber? Or maybe that someone is you. Or maybe you have this idea that, oh gosh, it's 12:01, we have to test the sterilizers now. Wrong, wrong, wrong. I've said this in prior videos and I'll say it again. Sterilizer testing is required to have the greatest challenge. An empty sterilizer load where all the steam can easily contact the biological pack is not a challenge. A full load where the steam has to penetrate all these trays and this barrier of trays and cart to the biological indicator that's down by the drain, that is a greater challenge. Amy ST79 2017 on page 75 under routine sterilizer efficacy monitoring states for sterilizers larger than 2 cubic feet, which is basically all of them in your sterile processing department, and for tabletop sterilizers, monitoring is done in a fully loaded chamber. And I hear what some of you are saying. There's not always full loads available at midnight because either you've gotten through most of the trays, so there's not anything else to process that will create a full load, or maybe you're so swamped you haven't been able to assemble enough trays to do a full load. Either way, it doesn't matter. Listen, the testing does not have to be done first thing in the morning after midnight. This is one of those old wives' tales. I don't even know the right word for it. This is one of those things that have been in the industry for so many years. We just believe that when the clock strikes 12, it's time to sterilize our biologicals. But listen, your bios are not going to turn into pumpkins. There are many departments that follow the proper protocol and probably don't test their sterilizers until like 10 in the morning, sometimes noon. It just has to be the first load of the day. So once you are able to perform an entire sterilization load, that becomes your first load of the day and your daily sterilization test. I know that can put a wrench in some of your established processes, but it's important that you do things the right way. And finally, myth number 5, sterilization tape cannot overlap. Ever heard this one before? Now this one is tricky because if you read the IFUs from all these different companies that make sterilization tape, they all tell you how to apply the tape, what its indications for use are, all that good stuff, but none of them mention whether you can overlap or not. Not a single one. Even Amy doesn't address this, which I knew they wouldn't because they don't address specific product qualifications or uses, but even Amy doesn't address this. The only thing they say about sterilization tape is that it must have that fold over tab for easy removal. So what do you do when there's an issue like this? When you have a question about use of a product, but the IFU does not clarify that? Easy, you contact the company. You can either email them, use their chat system, call them, whatever it is you want to do. The only thing that is really important is whatever answer you get it in writing. Now, I went ahead and contacted 3M for you. So for everyone who uses 3M, you're welcome. For everyone who doesn't, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to do your own legwork. But as you can see in the snippet, after the lady consulted with a product specialist, she let me know that yes, you can overlap the tape. So in the absence of clear instruction, contact your manufacturer, get it in writing so that if Joint Commission ever comes in and questions you about this, you can pull this out and say, yep, we contacted the company and this is what they said. Another great myth-busting video down. I cannot wait for the next one. Any topics or videos you want to see, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.